In today's video, I'm going to be giving you 8 tips for raising a bilingual toddler. Hi guys, I'm Cara. I am a mum to 26-month-old Ben and I am married to a German called Thomas. We are raising Ben with both English and German, and today I wanted to share 8 tips, things that have been really successful for us so far. So let's get started. My first tip is to do a little bit of research into different ways to raise bilingual children and to choose the method that works for you and stick to it and be consistent. For us, the method that really made sense was something called OPAL, one parent, one language, meaning that I always consistently speak English to Ben and Thomas always consistently speaks German.
Eine Wurst.
Oh, salami's a good idea, Dom. We love salami.
Ich glaube, da sagen sie nicht nein. Oh, Ben, hast du Salami dabei? Ist die für uns? Oh, danke schön.
This works really well for us, especially because I speak German and Thomas speaks English, which means we don't actually need a family language. We can just consistently speak our native languages to Ben and we always understand what's happening in a family conversation. There are, however, so many different methods and ways to raise bilingual children. Lots of people, for example, choose to speak one language at home and another language out of the home. And actually, once you choose something, it doesn't mean that you have to always do that. For example, maybe when Ben starts nursery and he's more exposed to English out of the home, we'll consider having German as our home language. My second tip is to start to build a library in your minority language. So for us here, it's not nearly as easy to pick up German books as it is to pick up English books. However, when we are in Germany, we make a deliberate effort to go to second-hand shops and car boot sales, flea markets, pick up books so that we really have lots here when we come back to Scotland. Thomas is incredibly talented at actually just translating a lot of the English books that we have here for Ben, but when it comes to books with really nice rhyme and things, that's far more difficult to do, and it's really nice sometimes for Thomas to have original German books to share with Ben. I think that for us, reading is the thing that's had the single biggest impact in our toddler's language development. Sometimes he'll come out with words that are not words that we tend to use in everyday conversation, and then when I really think about it, I can link it back to a book. So a really funny example of this is that the other night he called his dinner supper, which is something that we just never do, and I said to Ben, like, why did you call it your supper? And he just said, oh, tiger who came to tea. And it's so true, because in that they go out for their supper to a cafe in the evening. So he is learning so much, even if it doesn't immediately become apparent.
German.
They're in German? Who reads German?
Daddy.
Daddy reads German. And what language are those books in?
English.
And who reads English?
Mommy.
Mummy. My third tip is perhaps the most controversial, and that is to make an effort to learn your partner's language if you don't already speak it. So when I first met Thomas 10 years ago, I did not speak German, but I did have a little bit of a head start in language learning because I did have a French and Spanish degree, so I had learned other foreign languages. But for me and for Thomas, it was really important that we could really share language and culture with Ben. And so I now have a reasonable level of German, enough that I really do understand everything that's going on within our family home when Thomas is speaking German. I think this really normalises both languages for Ben and also makes it far easier for Thomas to be consistent at home with OPAL, which is our chosen method. My next recommendation is to expose your toddler as much as possible to the minority language. That, most importantly, can be actually spending time in a country where that language is spoken and playing with other children, for example, who speak that language. That is really easy for us to say because we live in Europe, so Scotland is just a 2-hour plane journey from Germany, and it's really easy for us to do that during holidays. I also, in the future, envision Ben heading off to Germany for the summer holidays and things like that to stay with his family over there, or if possible, we can go with him too. And I know that it's not so easy for everyone with regards to distance, but finding ways that they can still be in touch, video chatting, for example, relatives in the other country, is another great way to make them really see the relevance of the minority language and have a real connection with it. And when it comes to toddlers really developing an identity with both languages, it's really important to share two sets of culture and two sets of tradition. So that can be something as simple as food. So every so often here in some of the German supermarkets like Lidl, you can get your hands on things like frozen pretzels and Käsespätzle and German cheeses. And Thomas loves to buy these and put them in our freezer and share those with Ben throughout the year. Also, when it comes to festivals, we love to incorporate lots of different German traditions into our celebrations here, and then also exposing him to German nursery rhymes, German literature and stories. It's just a really lovely way to help him really connect with both English and German.
Hot, sehr hot.
Was glaubst du ist dein Lieblingsfrühstück?
The pretzels.
Ja, wirklich. Die Brezen.
Ja,
Was sind das? Brezen oder Pfannkuchen?
pretzels.
Wow.
My sixth tip is not to be worried or afraid about code switching. Code switching is when a toddler mixes both languages into the same phrase or sentence. This is something that Ben does a lot, and it isn't totally normal. It just takes time until they're able to compartmentalise both the languages, and you just have to be patient and give them that time. I also think that it's so adorable. I actually want to record some of the brilliant things that Ben says. He also tends to kind of mix up grammar in both the languages a little bit. So when we were at the safari park a few weeks ago, there was a rhino or several rhinos, and he called them nashorns, which is really cute because the plural of rhino in German is Nashörner, and instead he just added an S like he would in English. So they're just adorable, and when you understand why he's saying what he's saying, it is just so cute. Where's the ambulance? Can you show me?
Sehr.
Und wie sagt man auf Deutsch dazu? Wie sag ich dazu?
Krankenwagen.
Ja, genau, ein Krankenwagen.
Krankenwagen.
Hier?
Das ist Table Cow.
Ja, das stimmt. Das ist auch eine Art von Auto.
To make boom, boom, boom.
Das macht brumm, 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 ja.
My next tip is to give your toddlers as much thinking time as they need. I'm quite an impatient person, so this is quite a difficult one for me. But I actually see that if Ben, for example, is talking to one of my English-speaking relatives and if he says something to them in German, he registers pretty quickly that they don't understand. And if you give him enough time, he will translate it himself and say the word in English. It's the same if he brings a toy to me or something to me and he says the German word and I say, "Oh Ben, how do I say that?" If you give him enough time and are just patient, he 9 times out of 10 is able to then tell me the word in English, but I just have to consciously make an effort to give him the time to do it.
A puppet.
So sagt die Mama. Wie sag ich auf Deutsch? Ich sag nicht Parrot, ich sag
A papagei.
ein Papagei. Genau.
My 8th and final tip is to make a conscious effort to find families who speak the minority language wherever you're living. My husband Thomas has really made an effort to look on Facebook groups and find people who have other toddlers around the same age as Ben and set up play dates for them. This is really nice for Ben to actually meet other children who are speaking German, most of them also growing up with both English and German. It's really nice for us to have other German speaking families nearby, and so nice for Ben to grow up with other children who are speaking German. I now have a whole playlist here on my channel about raising a bilingual toddler and different strategies and games and things like that that we use to support Ben in his language development. I'll make sure I link that above and at the end of this video for you in case you want to check out some more. Thank you so much for joining us. Please think about hitting subscribe if you're interested in bilingual language development, and I hope that you'll join me again in another video. Bye bye!